Today's video, we are going to talk about Google Shopping keyword targeting. Most people don't think this is possible. Technically, it isn't possible with a simple click of a button. There's a way to do keyword targeting on standard shopping campaigns that involves a bit of a workaround, but it basically works as if you did traditional keyword targeting like you can do on a search campaign. I'm going to talk about the only way this is done then. There's only one workaround, in other words, and how it will beat PMAX campaign results. Because as you know, or if you don't know, you can run a PMAX campaign or to do shopping ads. And most people are today talking about doing that. One of which is myself. Specifically running PMAX campaigns, also a very specific way that can then beat standard shopping campaigns by a mile. Okay, I'll talk more about what that is. It's something called feed-only PMAX campaigns that we run, and that's what we're going to run 95% of the time. However, we're 95% of the time. But however, there's times where a standard shopping campaign can come in handy. Mostly having to do with very large niches where you have very select products that you're offering, where it's hard to hone in on the exact prospect that you want. Just to give you a quick example, if you sell printer toner and you only have toner for 10% of the available models out there on the open market, okay? A regular PMAX campaign is going to run really broadly. It's going to show up for printer toner, and a bunch of printer toners that you don't even sell, because PMAX is very broad in how it operates, at least at the beginning. Whereas on the standard shopping campaign, even though you can't do keyword targeting per se, but you can get honed in quicker, at least with the methodology I'm talking about here. So you only show up for people searching for those very specific printer toner model of printers that you sell toner for. Another example would be like where you sell, mobility scooters, like what the old people ride on, or the fat people that ride around at Walmart on those mobility scooters as well. And I just bring this up. This is one example where we've done it recently with the client. That is also where we would run a standard shopping campaign. Why? Because the most profitable searches are when people are searching for a specific model of scooter that the client sold, not somebody typing in mobility scooters. Even though they technically can be profitable, it's not profitable until you add another layer of targeting on top of it, such as gender targeting, income targeting, geographic targeting, user behavior targeting, in combination with one another to make that person searching for mobility scooters profitable. Because the people as a whole searching for mobility scooters, there's lots of different people searching for that keyword. Lots of different people. There's 5% or less of the people searching that are profitable to your business and for your product line that you're offering. What you got to do is find the 5%. PMAX is going to help you find the 5%, but not after an immense trial and error session. So if you're starting out like most people are with just a little bit of money, the thing to do is to go more, just try it if you can, obviously, when you can with the strategy I'm going to talk about, target just product level searches. Get that profitable, then try to go after the people searching for generic, what I call just category-based searches, and monetize that as well, because it's just as or should I say, not just as profitable ROI-wise, margin-wise, but just as profitable volume-wise. So even though the profit margin may be lower, there's a hell of a lot more people searching for mobility scooters than specific models of mobility scooters. Or should I say, there's probably about the same amount of profit people searching for specific mobility scooters where they've already done research on some other guy's website. He paid the money to educate the consumer, and now you're just getting the cleanup, getting the last click. There's equal money in that than the people, as as there is in people searching for mobility scooter, buy mobility scooters for sale, searches like that. So anyway, with that all said, I'll go into the specific methodology though with standard shopping campaigns to target model level searches, which effectively I just call keyword based targeting, because that's what you're doing. You're targeting people that are typing in, like with the mobility scooter example, specific keywords tied to specific mobility scooters that we sell, because those are the low-hanging fruit in our market. People searching for those specific models of scooters that we sell have a very high chance of when they get to our site to buy. And therefore, we would want to go after that first because that has the highest ROI for us to go after at the beginning. And of course, we want to be able to, running PPC ads and scaling ads is just a doubling game. It's how do I take a starting budget that I have, double the, make it turn into twice as much money, and then do it again and again and again. It would only make the most sense, if you're smart, to go after the stuff that has the quickest doubling rate, which is the people already that are in terms of a sales funnel, people that are the closest from making a purchase in your market. And this is the way that you do it. So with that said, I'll get into the content here. So the only time regular shopping campaigns, just to go in summary on what I just said, still make sense to run versus PMAX, specifically feed-only PMAX campaigns, is when you use keyword sculpting. Another word for this is keyword sculpting, okay? Within your standard shopping campaign that you're running. So a standard shopping campaign that you're running by itself without, just willy-nilly, no management of it, isn't going to beat the PMAX campaign. You might as well just run the PMAX campaign, okay? Specifically, at least a feed-only PMAX campaign, which is a PMAX campaign that you run where you don't put any headlines or descriptions or as little as possible under the ad section of your PMAX campaign, so that you run as little as possible on the display network, video on YouTube ads, with the discovery ads, and you mainly just show up on the shopping section on Google ads, okay? And the reason why PMAX, by the way, converts better than standard shopping is because it involves more machine learning than standard shopping does. So, with that said, the PMAX, because of the machine learning, is going to produce better than the standard shopping results. The PMAX, it's using a lot of machine learning. It does way more sales and profit for you on the same items running the PMAX campaign because of the enhanced machine learning that it has. However, if you know anything about machine learning, maybe you do, maybe you don't, it is all powered on data. So when you start out a PMAX campaign at the very, very beginning, it has no data, so it's going to get basically pretty shitty results. And it's unavoidable. But the upside, or the reason why you spend that money, is because 6 months down the road, you've built up a certain amount of minimum data in that campaign. It actually starts to break even, and then 2 years down the road, it's making a decent amount of money, and 5 years down the road, it's making a killing for you. And you're investing into that campaign effectively. You may not be able to afford to wait 6 months for the sales to come in, because it's also going to find the people almost ready to buy as well, okay, to some regard. Or should I say, to some regard up front, and then for sure long term. But you may not have 6 months to wait for things to work. Or you have the money, but you just want it to work quicker. You've got the time, you're willing to put some effort in to get your stuff to work quicker, to double your money quicker than you could with the PMAX campaign alone. And that's where standard shoppings can come into play with the keyword sculpting strategy that I use on campaigns to target what I call long tail searches, or specific searches where people are looking for very specific things, i.e. specific products with specific use cases or models or traits or specs, because if someone's making that specific a search, they've already done their homework and they're just getting ready to buy, they're doing last minute comparisons and about ready to buy. And because the person who searches for mobility scooter by itself, there's probably only like a 20% chance that person even buys anything. There's a lot of tire kickers that you're paying for there, versus the guy types in Johnson 12 mobility scooters for sale. That person's 60% likely to convert into a customer at some point in the future once they've made that search, and therefore you're getting a three times the chance of actually making a sale, if you will. So anyway, if you run a standard shopping campaign with the structure that I'm talking about here, it will get your product to only show up for long tail searches. 4 horsepower, DeWalt automatic drill, or 12-inch pottery wheels for clay pottery, something super specific like that versus clay pottery wheels. And those searches are at least 3 times more profitable as a whole than the generic searches. So why not go after those first? So PMAX is still going to make way more money than standard shopping campaigns in the long run, but they aren't going to get the same return in the short run if you're in a certain market, like I said, where you have a lot of competition and you only sell to a smaller part of the market. Or you could say in general, you'll have to kind of decide, but generally speaking, where the market has a lot of tire kickers, this gets to the people that, the part of the market that isn't a tire kicker a lot quicker than just using that PMAX campaign, at least up front. Long term, the PMAX is going to dial into the non-tire kickers better than the standard shopping, even with the keyword sculpting strategy I'm going to talk about here next. So if you have to get your return quicker because you're impatient or you only have so much money to invest, sculpting strategy, if you're in the right market, can make sense. So what this does, or what this is, to get quicker results, like I said, is there's just 2 steps to this program. It's something anybody can do. First, you're going to create a secondary product feed. So in order to run a shopping campaign, as you know, you have to use Google Merchant Center, have your products imported. They are either manually or through an automated plugin where you import products to your Google Merchant Center account. And then your Google Merchant Center account's linked to your Google Ads account, right? Probably already know this. So where the secondary product feed comes into play, Google lets you have a secondary product feed inside your Google Merchant Center account, which basically overrides the product feed that you have. So a lot of people don't recognize this. There's a way to have what shows up on Google search effectively not be what's on your website, okay? Even if you are automatically importing the products from your site to your Google Merchant Center using an automated plugin. It allows you to have whatever picture you want to show up on Google Shopping and is unique than what's on your site, so that you can optimize for click-through rate and get better results. Same thing with the product title. And this, what you should be thinking about strongly, because that kind of optimization will get you a lot better results overall on shopping long-term for your business. But as for what I'm talking about here, secondary product feeds, you can actually take your product feed, all the product data that's uploaded to Google, and then override the product title, product description that's imported to Google Merchant, imported to Google Merchant Center that you have through an automated plugin, so that Google looks at and uses a new title and description. That title and description Google heavily uses to decide what searches that each particular product actually shows up for. It's not all predicated just on the title and description, but it's heavily skewed that way. Like we're talking 60-70% skewed to what's on the title and description of that product feed. So therefore, if you just use the default title and product, or default title and description that's on your site for your shopping campaigns effectively, the shopping campaign is going to have a wider spread of what it shows up for, versus if you, like going back to the printer toner example, in that market we always know that the main best searches for that is like somebody typing in, the make and model of the printer and then printer toner, or somebody typing in the part number of the printer toner that comes with the printer, because they search for that when they were looking for a replacement toner. So in that situation, we just take those searches, put them in the title and description, you lace it in the title and description using a secondary product feed, so that that information overrides essentially what is on our site by default. And then when we run our shopping campaigns now, they're going to be a hell of a lot more honed in than just using having Google Ads look at the default title and description that's on that product page on our website for each item. So that'll really hone in what you show up for right up front. Once you've done that, because it's not going to hone it in all the way, because it only uses that title and description 70% of how it decides what searches your product shows up for, products show up for. You got to go ahead with step 2 to get it the rest of the way, and then you're just going to look at the search terms report literally once a day, and then you're going to add negative keywords to your account every day. Everything that's not long tail, that doesn't match that general mold of what you know serious buyers are searching for, where it's super specific searches that you know will convert at least 3 times better and probably 5 to 10 times better than the generic searches. And you're going to add negative keywords to your account until when you go in and the day comes, when you look at the search terms report and what shows up there that you paid money for people to click on your ads with is only the long tail searches that are left. And the best way to do this is so if you're doing printer toner and you're selling the printer toner, and you find the search for HP printer toner, that in itself is not a specific enough search to get a good conversion rate. We want like HP 1287 printer toner, or part number printer toner, or what have you, like I was talking about before. So with that example, HP printer toner, I'd add that whole term as a negative keyword by itself, right? And put brackets around it. And with that, I would just stick with that though. That wasn't a very good example, but this shows you what I would do at the very least there. Now, with that said, if you go in the search terms report and you find something like, I'll just modify this. And you find free HP printer toner in your search terms report, and you're trying to do your keyword sculpting task here. What I'm going to do in that case is I'm going to add this exact phrase as a negative keyword with the brackets around it, so therefore an exact match, so that this search can't trigger my ads again. And I'm going to add the word free as a broad match version of a negative keyword as well, so that anything with the word free in it from now on also blocks the ads. It gets you a lot better coverage a lot quicker than just having the exact phrase as a negative keyword as well. So, of course, and then to give you some other examples here, if somebody types in, trying to think of a good example here. Let's say the term is quality HP printer toner. Let's say you find that term in there. Well, in this case, I would add, again, the whole thing with the bracket around it and an exact match version of the negative keyword for that campaign. Then I would also add quality as a broad match version of a negative keyword by itself. In other words, no quotes around it, no brackets around it, so that anything with quality doesn't trigger my ads as well from now on as well. What you'll actually, by the way, find is sometimes your ads will trigger for something with the word quality in it, but it'll pretty well knock out everything with the word quality in it. It's not perfect. The exact match is pretty spot on in terms of how strict, like how well the negative keyword blocks terms like it. The broad match gets most of it, but it's not perfect, just to let you know up front. But with that said, the reason why you would want, obviously, quality added as a broad match negative keyword, because usually you would only use the word quality when you're making a category level search, not when you're searching for HP printer 1287 toner. Because it just doesn't, maybe you would type in quality HP 1287 toner, but very likely you wouldn't. And at least PPC is all about a game of profitabilities. If 90% of the time people making a certain search aren't going to be your customer, well then you probably will just block it outright, because you're not going to go and pay for 90% to get the 10%, if that makes sense. And that's about, then that's the reality. So you have to always make a judgment call, because every term has a possibility to bring a customer. The question is, to what likelihood does a term need to bring in a customer for you before you're willing to spend money on it? My philosophy is when you're starting out, you're going after the sure bets. Because quality is usually linked to a category-based search, I'm just not going to target it up front. You can always come back and remove the negative keyword quality if you hit a bottleneck in scaling your results. That way, that gets you the really high ROI up front, where you can really scale it quickly up front. And then when you hit a plateau in your results, you can't scale anymore at the ROI that you need to be profitable, then you just go into your negative keywords report. You potentially look at removing negative keywords. However, going into the final segment here, while you're doing this, what I would recommend doing is having a secondary going back to this PMAX campaign, feed-only PMAX campaign that you're running side by side with your standard shopping campaign. The standard shopping campaign is going to be your way to get profitability quickly. You're going to spend most of your money there. So if you have 100 a day to spend, you'll spend 90 of it on the standard shopping campaign, because that's going to get you the highest return as quick as you can. Double your money as quick as you can up front. The PMAX gets the $10 a day. You're not going to expect anything from that PMAX campaign for a very long time, but it's gathering data on the side. You can afford to finance the $10 a day with the profit you're making from the 90. And eventually, by time you can't squeeze any more profit out of that standard shopping campaign, that PMAX campaign that you've been running in the background for 6 to 12 months, it's probably going to start getting to where the performance is close to the standard shopping campaign performance. It might be 12 months, it might be 18 months. But at least when you hit that bottleneck, when you hit that point of where you're plateauing your results, you can't scale results on the standard shopping anymore, you'll actually have something that can take you on the next leg of your growth, if that makes sense. Versus waiting to start that PMAX campaign until then. Then now you're going to have to wait, of course, a long time. It's going to stall out your growth. So, I mean, technically you could, make all the money from the standard shopping until you're plateaued, and then do your PMAX, and then, basically not grow again for 3 to 6 months or whatever, or however long it takes. But I always like to, here's always what I do at our firm. My job is always to scale the client's results. Keep the results growing on average 10 to 20% a month, somewhere around there. So what I'm going to do is we've got our stable of campaigns that are producing. We're always going to devote about 10% of what our overall client's budget is to just new shit that's just going to be building up data, so that 6 months from now, that's going to be the thing that carries us the next 10% of growth 6 months from now. So in other words, instead of just being fat and happy on the results you got and not thinking about scaling your results until you need to or want to, always just be devoting 10% of your stuff to new stuff, because eventually with machine learning, you'll gather enough data with it, it will work. And that puts a lot of pressure off of you needing it to work in a certain amount of time, because you've always got shit that's, developing, and the stuff that's been developing, long enough, it'll just add to your stable of campaigns that are profitable already. And so you just, one thing that you're doing that's in test phase or data building phase is building data. Once that starts to be profitable, now you're just starting something else new up. And then, so you know what I'm saying? So there's always something in data development or data gathering mode, building something up all on the side. And The job of what your job should be is to figure out what's the next most likely thing to get the second highest ROI, third highest ROI thing you can get going. And then always having that going next in line, gathering data, so that eventually when what you got now doesn't scale anymore, you have that to transition over to, and so you keep growing. I'm going to do a video here really shortly about scaling PPC, and if you're not growing, you're dying. You always want to be scaling your results, because if you're not scaling your results, somebody else is not happy with a modest income. There's only so many customers in a niche market that are coming to Google to buy. And if you're not going to get them, somebody else is going to be investing into their system to get those customers, and you're going to I'll just tell you as a final note here, to be honest, most clients, I have an advertising agency, if you don't know already. Most clients that reach out to us at our agency that want our guaranteed PPC program, they're like at death's door with their business. When things are going good, they get fat and happy, they're not investing into anything, and then the economy maybe changes a little bit, and they're screwed, and then that's the time they want to invest in these things. And if things don't work that quickly most of the time, and you got, like I said, it's a build-up process with campaigns and all that, and they waited too long. Don't be the person who waits until there's a crisis with your sales to start investing into marketing, because it's probably going to be too late. You always want to be investing a part of your advertising funds and getting to the next stage of growth, because if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not growing, somebody else is getting your market share, and they're going to slowly chip away at it, and by the time you're basically in a effed situation in terms of your profitability, your overhead, and all that, you're not going to have the money to invest in getting something else going, to hire the right person to help yourself, or just get enough time to run the strategy you have to get some data to get it actually to work. It doesn't matter if you're running Google or Facebook campaigns. It all takes time to work. Unless you have something that's high in demand and no competition, shit takes months to get working for the most part. And the more competitive it is, the more months it takes. If you're in something super competitive, it can take 12, 18 months for a campaign to work. If we even start being profitable, of course it's still worth it, because we're, after month 18, it's going to run profitably for the next 8 years. But the average person's mentality is, I'm not going to invest into advertising until I need customers. Well, by the time you need customers, it's too fucking late to try to invest into advertising, because it doesn't work like a switch where you can just turn it on, customers are there. It takes time to build landing pages, it takes time to build the campaigns, it takes time to ramp up the campaigns. And people make this mistake all the time. You don't even know how many people I've seen go out of business. They're contacting me hoping I'm just going to be able to do a Hail Mary for them, and it's too late. It's too late. You don't have enough money to invest in this campaign? Well, you should have thought about this when times were good. Now it's too late, you're fucked. So don't be like that. You don't have to worry about anything. Always be reinvesting. Never stop reinvesting in your strategy. Even if you're number one in your market, keep reinvesting. Put so much ground between you and the second guy that there's no fucking way in hell that he is ever going to catch up to you. That's the way that you win long-term permanently. Not, I'm number one, so I can stop trying now, because it'll be a tortoise in the hare. They'll start chipping away, and then eventually, and if you're like most people, you're going to wait until there's not enough money coming in to cover your expenses, and then that'll be the time you try to react, and it's too late. So, anyway, if you liked the video, appreciate you giving the video a thumbs up. And you should consider subscribing, as this channel is just chock full of information that'll help you make literally millions of dollars with your ads. Given that's what we do around here, all I do all day long is ad strategy for clients. We have a few dozen accounts that we manage, of which I tell you exactly what's working and not working with these accounts. Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, and so forth, for your benefit. And so therefore it's coming straight from the source. Most of this crap on YouTube, it's people that are full-time YouTubers that aren't doing ad strategy. They're not. Or they're selling courses, and the information's just bullshit at that point. So if you want real information coming straight from the source, this is where you get it. I promise you this is the #1 best spot for real information that there is. You should subscribe. And then furthermore, I also have written material over on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. If you like my channel, you'll love my blog even more. There's more visuals there. If you like that type of content, I have plenty of it over there. Screenshots and so forth. So you should check that out. And I also have a column over at entrepreneur.com that I write as well. So if you want to really make money, subscribe to the damn channel. This is information and source of the information you need to really make money online. With that said, I also have an ad agency, as I mentioned earlier in this video. We guarantee results for our clients. And what that looks like is we literally will raise your sales and profitability in your campaigns before we take a fee. And the only question is what results that we, coming to a number on the results you're looking for that we know we can deliver up front for you to justify the fees that we want to charge down the road. And if we can come to a conclusion on that, we can work together. The only catch is we don't work with just any client. You've got to have something that we know we can really do well with. But if you want to see if we can work together and get an estimate of how much sales results we can get for you on your campaigns, simply reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I'll be more than happy to give you a free assessment on what you're doing and see if it's possible we can work together here. As a final note, we also sell ad templates. If you don't like to work with ad agencies, I understand. A lot of people don't. We've worked in your market before. You should take the templates we've developed for your market already if we worked in your market. I've worked in over 100 markets in the last 10 years, having run Guaranteed PPC. If we spent, $500,000 in ad testing, figuring out what works for your market in terms of ads, landing pages, all that, and you don't come and buy the templates from us, you're just, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're going to waste way more money than when we sell the finished ad templates than what we charge, and therefore it would make no sense not to buy the winning results from us, if you will. So, and we can tell you what the results were that we got in your market. So as long as you're not in the same geographic market as our client or past client, you can use the same templates we use to get results and just copy and paste the same everything that we have into your ad account and start using it. We got people using these templates to start other businesses, people starting e-commerce businesses, sourcing the products that other people were selling from China, or starting lead generation businesses where they'll take a plumbing campaign and then they'll get the leads and sell them to other plumbers in the space as a way to develop a passive income business, which if there is a passive income business, that's about as close to a purely passive business as you could possibly find. And I do legitimately know that because how could it be more passive than firing a lead automatically to somebody and then billing their card for every lead you fire off of them? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Still got to be able to know how to sell leads to people. That's the tough part. Campaigns will work. So anyway, if you're interested in that, reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I'll wrap it up with that though. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next video where we have another great strategy for you then. See you later.